Fentanyl is a highly dangerous and fully synthetic opioid. It causes difficulty in breathing, dizziness, vomiting, fainting, etc., which makes it a very lethal drug. There's a difference between opiates and opioids. Opiates are natural compounds such as morphine that come from plants such as poppies. Opioids are compounds that bind with opioid receptors, so this would include morphine, but it also includes fully synthetic opioids such as fentanyl. The main reason why fentanyl and other drugs are so harmful to the human body is their ability to replace endogenous drugs such as endorphins. By replacing these drugs, the brain will believe it got the treatment it needed when the body is actually becoming much worse. Fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine and 50 times stronger than heroin, and they can diffuse into our brain barrier within seconds, which causes it to be more dangerous. To go into depth, when neurons send signals to the brain through neurotransmitters from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron, it lets the brain know that the body is hurt or requires something for relief. This is when endogenous opioids get sent out to numb the pain. The reason why fentanyl is so dangerous is because it blocks and numbs the entire body, giving a euphoric feeling that leaves people addicted. There are 3 opioid receptors that fentanyl use the most: the mu receptor, delta receptor, and kappa receptor. The main targeted and liked receptor is the mu receptor, since it's associated with pain processing. When blocked, it allows the body to not feel any pain whatsoever, giving that euphoric feeling. The reason why people who overdose can't breathe is due to heavy saturation found in their blood pathways. The CO2 in bloodstreams succumbs to the fentanyl in the system, so it's nearly impossible to breathe without a dosage of naloxone, also known as Narcan. Due to this, fentanyl has a high overdose percentage. This is the PDB model of the protein when fentanyl is bounded to a mu opioid receptor.
Here we can see the mechanisms of fentanyl. Fentanyl binds to opioid receptors, which is also called an opioid agonist in this diagram. It specifically binds to the mu receptor, which is coupled to G proteins. The activation of this receptor causes GTP to be exchanged for GDP on the G proteins. In turn, this downregulates adenylate cyclase, which reduces concentrations of cyclic AMP. Reduced cyclic AMP decreases the influx of calcium ions into the cell, and this all leads to analgesia, which means pain relief. This pain relief is a euphoria that causes addiction and ultimately leads to overdose. Doctors decreased the prescription of opioids for pain relief, but this didn't change the fact that thousands of people were still addicted, so they went to illegal markets. With a high demand for opioids, fentanyl became the leading seller because it is cheap to produce. It is fully synthetic and can be made anywhere, while heroin is synthesized from poppies. And, like all other things, China is the leading manufacturer of fentanyl. Now, let's look at the deaths. This is a graph showing the number of fentanyl overdose deaths each year. Deaths have spiked recently, reaching 73,654 deaths in 2022. Since 2018, there have been roughly 250,000 deaths, and now in 2023, there were 112,000 deaths. Here's another graph comparing fentanyl overdose deaths with other drugs like cocaine, heroin, and antidepressants. Fentanyl is the gray line here, and you can see that it has way more overdose deaths than any other drug. This is because of how easily people get addicted to it, and how little it takes to overdose. And just to remind you, here's how the lethal dose of fentanyl, 2 milligrams, looks like compared to a penny. To think that 2 milligrams, something that small, can be fatal, is frightening. It is something that shouldn't be accessible to the public, not to anyone. Fentanyl isn't just a drug, it's an epidemic. Now, what can we do to help? We can teach others about the dangers of fentanyl, spread awareness through our community, and take unified action. Every action, no matter how small, can save a life. For help, call 1-800-662-4357. Learn more about this problem at the PDB 101. Thank you.